So I've got a trivia question for you guys. The Entourage movie, Justin Bieber's Never Say Never, the Sex and the City movie, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, The Phantom Menace, Paul Blart Mall Cop, Spider-Man 3, Big Mama's House, Don't Mess with the Zohan, and the first Twilight movie. What do all of those movies have in common? That's incorrect. They all have a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than Batman v Superman. What is wrong with critics these days? So Batman v Superman came out 2 weekends ago, and as you guys probably recall in my Good Friday video, I said it came out to mostly good reactions. That lasted all of about a day. When I said that, I filmed the video on Monday, and all the reactions were, oh, it seems pretty fun. And then Rotten Tomatoes comes out, and just every critic hated this movie. And then as a backlash, all the fans were like, no, this is the greatest comic book movie ever. And as a result, we've got all this conflict on the internet. Really, I think the big problem is that it's just an okay movie. It's not the best thing ever, it's not the worst thing ever, but our modern perception is that it has to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. You can't have 3 years of build-up for a good movie. And that's unfortunate, because I think there are a lot of great things that that the critics are overlooking, and there's a lot of really nonsensical, terrible things that the fans are ignoring. First off, I'll just talk about the good. Ben Affleck. Even the people who hated this movie are like, Ben Affleck kills it. And yeah, he kills it. He's awesome. He's a great Batman. And credit where credit's due. Henry Cavill is a solid Superman. I never really was a Superman fan, but I like him. He's a cool guy. You really get the feeling that this guy just wants to do the right thing, but doesn't really know what that right thing is. And there are some really cool moments that each of them get in this movie. In the very beginning of the movie, I was a little annoyed that they started doing the Batman origin story thing, but then as soon as he fell into the hole, and the bats started lifting him up, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a dream sequence. Why do we have dream sequences in this? But it makes perfect sense, because you juxtapose his feeling of when his parents died and when he had to become Batman with his business essentially dying, with so many of his business partners dying in that day where Superman fought Zod. And so you get a perfect 5-minute character motivation for Batman. And then, for some reason, they get this weird plotline in the desert where it has to look like Superman killed some people or whatever, and Lex Luthor friend. You can really cut that whole thing out of the movie, and this would have been no different. I was really surprised they didn't just have that whole battle in Metropolis be the thing that people are trying for, but that's just the backdrop, and then you get everyone just automatically knew, no, he's totally a good guy in that case, because that alien from the same planet as him totally was the bad guy. And there's no conflict over that. But we need this new conflict to kind of show that maybe he kills people, but I don't know. But as much as I don't like that whole desert scene in the beginning of Lois Lane where Superman saves the day and it looks like he killed people, it did have a cool moment there. It had what I call a hell yeah Superman moment. And what I mean by that, for example, in The Dark Knight Rises, you had a bunch of hell yeah Batman moments where the music swelled and he popped up out of nowhere and hell yeah Batman, let's go.
Hell yeah, Batman. Hell yeah.
You get one hell yeah Superman moment where the music swells, you get Hans Zimmer's, I love the Man of Steel soundtrack, man. That soundtrack is just the best. It lands in there, he's like, yeah, no, you're gone, you're done. So, even though you could have cut that entire thing out of the movie and you would have saved about half an hour, that was a cool moment. So I'll be totally honest, I actually liked Lex Luthor for the first scene that he was in. It made sense. He's the face of a company, of course you're gonna have him out in the front playing basketball and totally playing up the, hey, I'm a young, hip, cool guy thing. And he's all quirky and he knows he knows his stuff. And okay, that's actually why I was sort of okay with Jesse Eisenberg being in this movie. And I kind of had the idea of like, it's sort of like where like Bruce Wayne has this thing where he's like, okay, so here's my public face where I'm all suave and all that, and then there's the real Bruce Wayne, and then there's Batman. You got like 3 different personas. It would kind of be like that, except Lex Luthor has like his outer thing where, hey, I'm quirky, I'm a fun guy, and then actually he's like maniacal and scheming. But what really weirded me out about Lex Luthor is that the more evil we saw of him, the quirkier he got. Like straight up to the end of the, by the time we get to the end of the movie, he's like the Joker at this point. I will say, for all the weird Lex Luthor stuff that he did throughout the movie, I will say the Granny Sweet Tea thing was pretty funny. Although, when he's in the Capitol building and you see the label, for a couple seconds you're like, does the movie not know that we see the label and get the joke? Like, do they have to hang on that shot for that long? And then all of a sudden the whole building explodes and you're like, oh, were we supposed to get that there's a bomb there or something? That's kind of weird. I liked Wonder Woman in this movie. I think Gal Gadot, or however you pronounce her last name, did a great job as Wonder Woman. I think her character fit into the story pretty nicely. Her mission is essentially to figure out what LexCorp knows about her and all these other people. So long as we're talking about Wonder Woman and like the good of the movie, I will say the fight at the very end of the movie, that is a cool fight. Like, again, like, Batman's motivation is set up better than Superman's motivation because he's in this just to save his mom and to get his help, which you gotta question, why would he fight him if his goal is to ultimately get him to help him? But whatever, it's a cool fight. And a lot of people are bent out of shape because of how the fight ended. But the more I've thought about it, the whole Martha thing where he yells out, his last words are, "Please save my mom." My mother Martha, and like how they both have, their mothers both have the same first name. First off, that's kind of a funny coincidence, but second off, I feel that that was kind of almost the perfect way to do that. Because this entire movie, Batman has been building up, this guy's an alien, he's a danger to everyone, this is not a human being, this is a dragon that I have to go slay, this is going to be my legacy of saving Earth. And then in that moment he realizes, shoot, this guy has a family, this guy has a mother, this guy grew up here. Not only am I not doing the right thing here, I'm actually becoming everything that I hate. I became Batman for the sake of stopping people from becoming orphans and from families being torn apart by crime. That's my entire career was built around that, and here I am, essentially killing this guy and then killing his mother. That snaps him out of it, and he becomes Batman again, and that's really cool, and it's cool to see them kind of come together after that. Is it a little rushed? Yeah, probably, but when we have the fight shoved into the last half hour of the movie, you kind of have to speed it along a bit. And that scene right afterwards is just the best. It's like an Arkham City fight. You got like him flipping around, just clearing house. He's got the little gadget that you throw on stuff, throw on guns to where they stop working, even though that's totally probably not a thing in real life, but shut up, it's cool. And of course this builds up to the big, huge fight with that, like, gray monster thing that Lex Luthor built. Technically it's Doomsday, but like a lot of people, a lot of hardcore comic book fans are mad that that's Doomsday, and I don't care. Again, I'm not a hardcore comic book fan. I watch YouTube videos way too often, that's how I know this stuff. But yeah, I guess you do kind of have to have something that they fight at the very end so that Wonder Woman can come in and they can all be kind of the Justice League together. Like, literally, you could have had him just, like, fight Shrek at the end of the movie, and, like, that actually, that would have been a super cool movie. 10 out of 10, best movie of all time. Jeez. But they fight Doomsday, and it's kind of funny how throughout the entire fight, they constantly have to say, oh, the downtown area is cleared out. Oh, they're high enough above the clouds to where you can shoot a nuke up there and not affect anybody. Like, they go out of their way. After all the damage that was done in Man of Steel, they go out of their way to tell you, yeah, no, there's no collateral damage here. And I think that's both hilarious, and I can kind of appreciate how they threw that in there. So that's kind of neat. And again, one final thing that I think that I did enjoy about this movie, it's not that Superman dies at the end of this movie, it's that they had the gall and they had the balls to keep him dead. Like, we know Justice League is coming out next year, and so I was totally expecting them to be like, no, you're not going to do a dead fake out thing here, are you? But no, they kept him dead until the end of the movie, and so the next year's Justice League movie is going to be led by Batman, and that's an intriguing idea. You have the heaviest hitting superhero out of the mix, and there's some weird alien things that are going to be coming down, and it's now less of a fair fight because we don't have Superman. So that's an intriguing concept to me. But now there are a lot of things in this movie that kind of drag it down, because that by itself will be awesome, but just like with Avengers Age of Ultron, all the cool stuff in the movie gets dragged down because they gotta set up for other movies. You can't just have one cool movie anymore, you gotta set up for all the other stuff in the universe. Like I said, I enjoyed that dream sequence at the beginning of the movie, but then there's like this 12-minute dream sequence. It probably isn't 12 minutes, but it felt like it. Just in the middle of the movie where Bruce Wayne is just getting these visions of the future, and there's really no explanation as to why. That's that whole scene with him in like the Batman desert costume where he's like throwing people around and there's like bug things that look like those things from Attack of the Clones, just like picking people up and taking them away. And then you get Superman and he's all mad and he's like ripping Batman's mask off, and like none of that fits into the movie. It's just there. Like it's that whole dream sequence that sets up stuff that just comes out of nowhere and has no flow in the movie. And then you think he wakes up, and then the Flash is in, like, Batman's computer screen, like, reaching out like, Lois Lane, other nonsensical gibberish for the future, rah! I'm like, what the flying falcon nuggets is Flash doing here? Why? What are you, why? Is there like a teleportation thing in his computer? What are you... And then fake out, oh, that was a dream too. Ah! Like, what? Why? Why is that in your movie? Why couldn't you cut that out? No, they have to put that in there because that sets up for, I guess, maybe Justice League, but then there's evil Superman in there. Or I would assume evil, maybe Batman did something, or I don't know. Maybe it'll make sense later as DC makes more movies, but like, I can't think of any way to justify why that's in the middle of the movie with no flow or connection to the movie at all. Just, oh, he fell asleep and there's the future. So you get that, and then that whole other plot line with Wonder Woman. Like, again, Wonder Woman, she's great in this movie. She's put into this movie great. She really flows into the plot here. But at the same time, like, that whole flash drive where they finally find out what's on the flash drive, and it's Lex Luthor and all these other superpowered people, and they pause the movie, not literally, but they stop the flow of the movie, like, right in the middle of the third act, or right at the beginning of the third act, so that Wonder Woman can watch these videos of all these superpowered people doing their superpowered thing. Like, there's Jason Momoa as Aquaman in the bottom of the ocean, just like poking a drone with his trident, and then there's Flash at a convenience store, and then there's Cyborg on a wall somewhere being put together, and I don't know. All of the good, feel-good feelings that I'm having from the Batman vs. Superman part is offset by the Dawn of Justice part, where you have to take out all these major parts of the movie to tell us about future movies. And then somehow Lex Luthor knows about Darkseid and all these things that are going to be coming from the sky for some reason. There's one throwaway line of like, oh yeah, here's all the knowledge in the computer, I'm going to go read that now. And then it's never brought up, and at the end of the movie, both Batman and Lex Luthor are like talking about, oh, you know it's coming from the sky, and like, what? I mean, I know because I've read behind the scenes stuff, but what are you guys, what happened in the movie? And apparently, a couple days after the movie got released, you get a 45-second deleted scene where Lex Luthor's in a pool in the spaceship thing, like, talking to a Minotaur, or whatever that thing is. I don't know. But even that like 45 seconds in a 2.5-hour movie would have made the difference. Like, oh, he's been talking to that Minotaur thing. Now he knows what's going on in the universe. And like that would have wrapped stuff up nicely. That would have kept us in the loop and made this less of a jolted, messy movie. So bottom line, I like this movie. I like a lot of the cool character moments that it has. I like some of the thoughts behind it. But just like with Age of Ultron, the stuff that's holding it back is all the stuff that they have to set up for other movies. And it's stupid. Make a good movie today so you can make another good movie tomorrow. So if I have to give this movie a number rating and internet reviewer law dictates that I must, I will give it a 7 out of 10. It is an above average movie. It's got some really cool character moments. People clearly put a ton of effort and a ton of love into this. And visually it's very appealing. And the story, this part of the story that isn't completely overshadowed by we gotta set up stuff, for the most part is pretty good. I mean, the whole desert thing, you probably shouldn't have needed to add in there, and like kidnapping Martha, and like, that's kind of a weird setup for it. But I can put that stuff aside because I really enjoyed the stuff that was in the movie. It's a really divisive movie, and for that reason, I think even if you're not into comic book stuff, if you want to form an opinion about this, you should go see it for yourself. But if you wanted my opinion, again, really good, solid superhero movie, and I'm excited for the future. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Batman vs. Superman. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments section below. And until next time, God bless, stay saucy. By the way, I keep calling this Batman v Superman, even though it should be Batman versus Superman, because I don't know, I like the idea of them being like a courtroom battle or something. Where are they? Objection! Cause for speculation. Overruled.